guys, welcome back to UnderTheRadarBooks. I'm Brittany and today I want to do my December wrap up. I read a lot of books in December, so I'm going to try to make this short and sweet. The first book that I finished in December was Bitch Planet Volume 1. It's by Kelly Sue DeConnick, and it follows a world where women are supposed to follow a certain role and stick between the lines, and they can't be ambitious or smart or different. And so in that case, if a woman is one of those things, she's considered non-compliant and is sent to Bitch Planet. So this follows a group of prisoners who are on this planet and how they plan to basically rebel against the world that they live in. So I really enjoyed it. I'm excited to read the next volume. Next up, I finished Scream, The Science of Fear by Margie Kerr, and this was really good. I listened to this on audio and read it, and it is a nonfiction account of the science of fear. Why we like to be scared, why do we go on roller coasters, why do we go to haunted houses, why do we like scary movies, and it was really, really fascinating. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I would definitely recommend it for people who are a little bit weary of nonfiction because I found it super interesting and the writing was extremely readable, and yeah, I would really recommend it. Next up, I finished Florence and Giles by John Harding, which I talked about a lot in my November wrap-up because I was almost finished with it. But this follows a young girl called Florence and her brother Giles who live in this old decrepit house, and they have just their housekeepers with them. The house is owned by their uncle, but he lives in the city, so it's just them and these housekeepers, and his uncle decides that they need a governess, so they send a governess to take care of them. And Florence soon learns that the governess is very evil and she's trying to take Giles away from her. But Florence is a very flawed character. She's super interesting and she's extremely unreliable, which makes this book that much more fun. I think I loved it so much because it leaves so much up to your imagination. It is very creepy and really unsettling, but nothing is in your face. It's very just subtle and eerie, so I cannot recommend this enough, and you will be seeing this in my top books of 2016 for sure. Next up was a book I got for my birthday, and it was a little bit disappointing. It is The Pleasure of Reading, edited by Tonia Fraser, and I was really excited to get this because it is a really pretty hardback book. It's got really great artwork on the inside by a variety of artists, so I was really excited to get to it. It's basically the story of how this selection of authors got into reading, what books inspired them, what made them a writer, those types of things. And I generally really enjoy books like this, but this one, the most modern author that they have in here is Jeanette Winterson, and that was probably my favorite one to read. Everyone else, while they are very iconic authors, I felt really disconnected from their stories. They had a lot of repeating titles. There was nothing like super interesting or new that I hadn't heard of. It was a lot of the same, and so I felt it kind of repetitive and a bit pretentious, honestly. So this was a 2-star read for me. Next up, I read Swimming Lessons by Claire Fuller. This was one of my most anticipated releases for 2017, but actually Book of the Month released it early if you were a member, so I got it last month, and I knew I needed to pick it up right after I opened that box. So Claire Fuller is the author of Our Endless Number Days, which was one of my top books of last year. And so this follows 2 daughters and their father who are struggling with the fact that their mother left them years ago. And as time has gone on, they have realized that their mother left letters in their father's collection of books sitting around the house. And so as you're following the story of the 2 daughters and the father, you are also following the story of the mother and her letters. So it's jumping in between time periods, and I felt this was so brilliantly written. I love Claire Fuller's writing style, but it is so readable and beautiful at the same time. If you have a problem with flawed characters or unlikable characters, I don't think that this is the right book for you because every one of these characters is really raw, and I think that's why I enjoyed it so much, is because they're all so real and interesting, and I really, really connected with the mother figure because she struggles with parenthood, and I think that that is something that is so wrong with our society, I guess, is that I feel like parenthood is sugar-coated and everyone just talks about all the good stuff, and being a parent is so difficult and so challenging, and not everybody is great at it. So I think that this was Such a good book, and it just really resonated with me, so it was an easy 5 stars and definitely one of my top books of the year. Next up, I read a graphic novel, and that was Nailbiter Volume 1, and I really like this. This was a 4-star read for me. It follows a small town that, for some reason, keeps producing serial killers. It's like over a 40-year period, 14 serial killers, and most of the most famous ones in the world have come from this little tiny town. So our main character is a police officer, or a FBI agent, I think, and his partner goes missing in this town, and so he goes to see what his partner was investigating, and basically gets together with the local cop, and they join forces to try to find this man and to figure out what is wrong with the town. So I really, really like this. I'm excited to get to the next volume. It had really awesome artwork and good colors, so definitely will be continuing on with this series. Next, I read a self-help book, and it is The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, and I've had this for ages. I've heard really good things about it. I know that people have really enjoyed it and found it very helpful. So this basically follows a Toltec wisdom that says that you need to follow these 4 agreements to have a happy life, and they are: be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. So reading that, I felt like that really resonated with me. I thought that was really interesting. I think all of the things are really important to have as a part of our lives. But some of the, as you can tell, I did enjoy it because I marked a bunch of stuff that really resonated with me, but some of it just completely lost me, so it was really kind of a mixed bag. If this does sound interesting to you, it's really short, so I would recommend reading it if you find it interesting, but it was just a 3-star book for me. Next up, I finished Oryx and Crake by Margaret Atwood. This is the first Margaret Atwood novel I have read. I've only read some of her short stories, and it was amazing. I loved it so much. It was 4.5-star read for me, so close to being 5. I buddy read this with Acacia from Acacia Ives, and we had such a good time. We had such great discussions. This follows a dystopian world where there has been a horrible plague, and our protagonist is one of the only survivors who is immune to it, and it's following his struggles and how he's continuing to survive, but also jumping back in time to explain how the plague came about and how he was involved in it. So I found this super enjoyable, really readable. Another one that I listened to on audio and read at the same time, so definitely recommend the audio, and I can't wait to see where the rest of the series goes. I've heard that the next book in the series actually follows different characters, so I'm super excited about that. Next up was another bookish nonfiction that was kind of disappointing, and that was Bookshelf by Lydia Pine. And while I do think this is a really cool gift to give to fellow book lovers, to read it all the way through in one sitting was really boring. I found some stuff super interesting. Other stuff just seemed so random and just, I don't know, I felt it kind of repetitive, and I was just bored. It was dull, and I think that one of the biggest problem was the footnotes, because there were so many footnotes, but since it's such a small book, they couldn't put the footnotes at the bottom of the page, so they were in the back of the book. So I kept having to stop what I was reading, flip to the footnotes in the back, read the footnote, go back to the story. So I just felt it was like disjointed, and overall just a 2-star book. Next up was the book that I was reading on Christmas, and it was the perfect choice. It was Green Glass House by Kate Milford, and I want to take a moment to just appreciate this cover because I love it. So this follows a young boy. This is a middle grade novel, by the way, but it follows a young boy named Milo who lives with his adoptive parents in a old inn, and it's famous for being a hotel for smugglers. And there's lots of legend behind that about the island, and it's set in a very snowy landscape at Christmas time, which was perfect. And Milo is going on this adventure with this old map, trying to find the truth about the inn and the history of it, and if there's treasure buried, and there's secret identities, and all of these really fun, interesting things. I would have loved this as a child. I loved it now, but I would have gobbled it up when I was younger. But another part of the story is that Milo is struggling with the fact that he loves his adoptive parents, but he also wants to learn about his birth parents and his culture and where he came from. So it has lots of different storylines that are going on at the same time, and overall it was wonderful. I gave it 4 stars. Next up is a book that I was listening to on audio the majority of the time, and that is In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. And the audiobook is fantastic, by the way, if you're looking for a good nonfiction book. And this is a true crime novel. Some people say it is the first true crime novel that was ever written. And it follows the this family who lives in rural Kansas in the 50s, late 50s, and they have a farm, and they're, you know, really involved in the community, really nice people, and one night someone comes to their house and murders them, and it follows basically why that happened, who did it, why they did it, all the different aspects of the story, and it is so brilliant and such an interesting look into the human condition, and I found it so interesting and intriguing and really, really great. So 4 stars for this one. Next up is a book that is also going to be in my top books of the year, and that is Julius Winsome by Gerard Donovan. And I first heard about this, I think, on either Mercedes or Jen's channel. I think they both read it. But this book I read in one sitting. I could not put it down. I was walking around doing stuff in my house, holding the book in front of my face because I just could not stop reading it. It follows Julius, who lives in Maine in a remote wooded area in a very small cabin. He grew up there with his father, but his father has passed away, so he is just there by himself and with his dog. So he's super isolated from society. Basically, all he does is, you know, take care of his little cabin and read all day long. His cabin is lined with books. But one day, his dog is outside, and he hears a gunshot. Thinking that it's only a hunter, he doesn't get worried. But a couple hours later, when his dog hasn't returned, he goes out to find him and finds that his dog has been shot. So in a panic, he drives him to the vet as soon as possible, and the vet cannot save him. And we are horrified to learn that the person who shot his dog shot him at point blank range. So there's no way that it was an accident. So this follows Julius's spiral into revenge and insanity, and the writing is absolutely gorgeous, so brilliant, but it's such a thrilling read. It is amazing. So if you're looking for a really quick and awesome book, please pick this up. You will love it. Next up, I finished The Vanishing Act by Mette Jacobsen, and this follows a ragtag group of people who are basically their own family on this really tiny island. All that's on the island is a couple of houses, a lighthouse, and a church, and it's super whimsical, and there's some magical things that happen that you're not really sure if they're real or not. And the protagonist is a small child. Her name is Manu, and she is struggling with the fact that her mother has disappeared, and she's basically coming to terms with the fact that maybe her mother isn't coming back, and basically all of those struggles that come along with it. But also living on the island is a priest who is obsessed with making pretzels, and a ex-magician who makes disappearing boxes and ships them overseas. So it's super quirky and really interesting, great characters, and I gave it 4 stars. Next up was a reread for me, and that is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. I have never read this edition. I've read this book I don't even know how many times. It's one of my favorites, so obviously this was a 5-star read for me, but I really enjoyed this artwork. I got this as a gift a couple years ago, and the artwork is just eerie and whimsical, and it's super interesting. So here's a little sneak peek of that. So I would highly recommend that you check out this edition of Alice in Wonderland. It's great. And the last thing that I finished in December was I Hate Fairyland Volume 2, Fluff My Life. This is by Scotty Young, and I think it was last month that I read the first volume, and I loved it so much. It follows a young girl, Gertrude, who gets transported to Fairyland when she is a young girl, probably like 5 or 6, and she gets trapped there. So 30-some years have passed, and she still looks like a little girl, but she acts like an adult, and so there is so much humor in this. I laughed out loud so many times, and it's so funny. The artwork is like super bright and colorful. So it is so funny. I can't recommend it enough. 4-star read for me. I'm super excited to see where the series is going to go, and I highly recommend them. Those are all the books that I read in December. Did you guys have a good reading month? Please leave me some comments down below so we can get talking. Until next time, happy reading!